Yeah, Minnesota had some very stark home road splits all season. It kind of regressed towards the mean after the All-Star break where they were just good wherever they were playing. Actually got much better defensively, though, at home post All-Star break. 111 defensive rating, top half of the league there, allowing 114 points per game, which happens to be exactly what Memphis scored on the road. Just 9-7 to the over, which is low for the Wolves, the highest scoring team in the league, and their games average 234.5. So, I mean, we're right at that total in terms of the average. Minnesota scored 120 in that span. I definitely lean under because this being a playoff game and Memphis's roadmap to success once again being tougher in the paint and controlling it, allowing the fewest paint points, scoring the most paint points the last couple of years. And then they had a huge advantage in game one, 60-32 in game two, in paint points. So that's what they're going to have to do. And they did slow it down, like we called a little bit. I mean, Ja was still shot out of a cannon, but the pace overall dropped from 105 to 100 as, he got another dead leg injury, another scary moment for Memphis down the stretch there. Their defensive rating, guarding the rim there, dropped from 123 to 126. 96 as they shut down Minnesota, who just really didn't come to play in that game. Definitely expect a more competitive game here as we shift back there. But on the road for Memphis since the All-Star break, they're scoring 8 points per game fewer. That's still 116, though. They're scoring 124 at home post-break. They're shooting 5% worse from three, which is the vital stat here as you go up against Minnesota. And the offensive rating down 8 points per 100 possessions. So I mean, I'm a little hesitant to take the under again. I think I would tease it up with another game if you need to find some action there with your teaser. But right now, I think it's just backing Memphis. And we talk about kind of the inverse of what happened to them last year, where they were the young team punching above their weight, beat the Jazz in game one. And then, the more seasoned playoff team just came back and executed all over them for 4 straight wins. I don't know if Memphis is going to win 4 straight here. I think it'll probably be a 6-game series. Minnesota should get one of these at home. But I like Memphis to just continue this pace, this offensive efficiency, and really just to be the more physical, deeper team up front. If they can hold Cat in check, which they did not in game one. And D'Angelo Russell is still a non-factor in this series. So it's really, Anthony Edwards can get his, but Memphis has a whole gang of guys, and they still have Ja, who will break down your defense, and was doing that very efficiently before he got that dead leg. Despite relatively poor numbers against Minnesota this season, they showed in these playoffs so far that they have no answers for him, keeping him out of the lane. Trying to trap him on the perimeter is not a good idea. And with the best creator there in the series. And with Memphis's ability to guard the paint and to force turnovers and get out off them, I just like the Grizz at a negligible spread here. They had just some great numbers straight up. So if you take away the spread, 36-13 when they're on normal one-day rest. And if with the spread, 34-21 after a win, which shows you that they do keep rolling. 14-5 straight up as road favorites, winning those games by an average of 9 points per game. Not the -1.5 we would need here to get this win and get over the spread.
Yeah, the total continues to really be a complete wild card to me, to be honest. In this one, in the last one, I think it really is starting to really just look like what happens with Karl Anthony Towns and how well does he play, and really the key there in terms of how well is he going to play. It's highly affected by how well is Jaren Jackson Jr. playing. Is he is he on the floor basically, or is he fouling out? Yeah, you look at game 2, Triple J is able to stay on the floor. He did have 4 fouls on his own there in game 2 as well. but better than those 5 and pretty much fouling out as he did in game 1. And those a couple of those fouls came late. Obviously, he wasn't quite as needed anymore once this game got the doors blown off of it. But it's obviously very important. I mean, it's also about Steven Adams not guarding Karl Anthony Towns, where he just got completely massacred in the first game, even though he ended up getting taken out, obviously. Then Triple J came in. It would have been great if he was able to stay in, and he wasn't. So that's why there was nobody at that point. But, the other thing is then in game 2, the game plan was clearly, bring Triple J, bring Xavier Tillman in as well, and just sit Steven Adams. And he played about 3 minutes in that game, and he couldn't make it back onto the floor, and they didn't need him to. So, I was telling you earlier, I think I saw a pretty interesting tweet that was talking about Steven Adams, if he's going to continue to start, which it looks like he is, I think we can bank on him playing less than 10 minutes in a lot of these games, the way that's clearly a direct correlation to how well Karl Anthony Towns plays, which is a direct correlation to how well the Timberwolves play, and their ability to win. So I think you continue to start Steven Adams and play him that low. Whatever his props are, you got to go under on them, just as a quick little side bet in this game. But I do think that this is I do think this is going back to Memphis 2-2 is the other thing. And so I'm a bit scared because I don't know which game it is that the Grizzlies are going to pull out on the road here. But if it is the first one, there's obviously more of a likelihood that they're able to pull out game 4 as well and go up 3-1. But I do think that, I think this is going back 2-2, to be honest. So I would really bank on, not necessarily worrying too much about a money line bet here, even though it would be nice because that spread is so low. I think, honestly, you do expect a closer game in this one than we saw in game 2, in which case, I do think there's the opportunity to tease that dog up a bit in terms of the home team here in Minnesota. To your point, I do just want to get a spread that's a bit further apart because I do think that this game ends within 6-7 points. So if I can find a way to get it close to that with something else that I like, I don't know, help me out. What say you to that?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't really, I don't love that because these are runaway teams, we just saw what happens when Memphis gets it going, and Minnesota is just so inexperienced that if they get behind, the wheels could fall off. I mean, you look at Memphis's trips to Minnesota to start the season, they lost by 43 in Minnesota too. So that just got out of hand for them. And I think the last time they went over in Minnesota, though, that was the game Ant Edwards went 8 for 9 from 3, had 42 points, a lot of silliness offensively back in the regular season to end the regular season in 2021. But I mean, I think the pace, the under is still what I lean towards more here. I mean, it was a beautiful under there in game 2, as we predicted, because of the slowing of the pace. And the last 2 trips to Minnesota have been down to 98 in terms of their pace. They both hit exactly 233, that blowout, because Memphis only scored 98 and when they were blown out. But Minnesota did not come along in game 2. I do agree with you that I think both teams will be sharper. I don't think any team's going to lay down the way Minnesota did after they were like, well, we got to split, whatever.
Yeah.
But just the home road splits for Minnesota are stark enough. I mean, it's 5 points per game fewer. It's 8 points per game fewer for Memphis on the road. It's a slower pace by about a possession for each team. It tends to go under a little bit more, better defense. And as these series wear on, we just see better defense in general as you get more accustomed, especially against a team that really has 3 playmakers in the Wolves and then a sharpshooter in Beasley and just a pest in Pat Beverly. So I think Memphis has the recipe to continue to guard this team pretty well. And hopefully, keep it in the 110s at the highest tier as we do get down to close games. So I think, to your point, if I'm gonna tease the Wolves up to +5 with the under, even though the Wolves are a high scoring team, that's a very counterintuitive thing. But I just think that that's the way this game is going to be played, and that's the way the playoffs go in general.
Yeah, no, I concur, and I'm liking that a lot more too. In terms of scoring on the road for Memphis, and you look at their already inability to really shoot from three with too many guys. Jaren Jackson Jr. has been too bad for them from three as well. That's not really helping their case on offense. Obviously, the Grizzlies did find a way to get to 124 in game 2. And part of that was the laying down of Minnesota in a way that they were like, fine, we'll just continue to crunch away with our players. And obviously Ja is never going to stop as long as he's on the floor, which might be a bad thing. To your point, is he got another dead leg there, and we'll hope to continue to monitor how explosive he looks in this next game. But even without Ja, I mean, we know what the Grizzlies are capable of on offense. And yeah, either way, that's enough for them to keep this game probably staying slightly ahead in this game. If I'm predicting it, it's one of those scenarios we'll talk about in a different video with a 2-0 series in Golden State and Denver, where that's a scenario where you look to sort of find a way to bet the team who's down 2-0, especially early in the game with the incentive that they have. This one at 1-1, I don't know if I feel Minnesota obviously is going to come out strong, but Memphis has their backs against the wall now just as much as Minnesota. So I do think it does remain close, but I also think, like you said, that's totally tailored for an under, especially in Minnesota, where slightly surprisingly they go under at a higher clip than you would expect as the home team.
Yep.